My name is Jerome Ferry. My cameraman is Alan Eggers. We're doing a video interview with Barbara Nassif, a lifelong resident of Cedar Rapids, whose career was in interior designing, being a good mom, a housewife, and a Bible collector. Barb, tell us when and where you were born.
I was born on my grandfather's farm near Caney, Kansas, right on the line. Across the road from the house was the Indian reservation.
When was this, Barb?
You really want to know?
Yeah. Really?
November 20th, 1914.
1914. Did you have any children? Or no, you had been too young. You'd have moved away.
I was 6 months old.
What was your dad and mom's name?
Lindsay, James, and Hortense Lindsay.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, 3. I had an older brother and a younger brother and a baby sister.
And then, when did you come to Cedar Rapids? How old would you have been?
I think about 3.
About 3. What was your dad's occupation?
He was a railroad inspector, and he was all over the Milwaukee Road all the time.
What did he, what was his duties as an inspector?
Troubleshooter. Whenever there was trouble with the rails or the big engines, he had to go out with a crew.
When you come to Cedar Rapids, where did your folks settle?
Out in Kenwood Park, what is now 35th Street by the Kenwood School. And my great-grandfather, who raised my mother, built us a house. A builder out there, Mr. Daniels, built us a lovely house right across from the school, the grade school.
When you moved there, that was not Cedar Rapids, that would have been the village of Kenwood, wouldn't it?
Kenwood Park.
Kenwood Park was the name of the village. And where did you go to school, Barb?
Kenwood Park.
Yes. I'm sorry, Kenwood Park School.
Yeah. Until 6th grade. Then I went to Franklin.
Franklin, okay. And you went to Washington High School, is that correct? Okay. Barb, I'm going to ask you questions about different topics now in Cedar Rapids way back then. Railroad travel, did you ever travel or ride on trains?
All the time, because we had passes.
Because your dad worked for the railroad. Like, where would you go?
Any place we wanted to, but we went back and forth to Kansas and Missouri, where we had family.
Did your family keep close ties with their family in Kansas?
Yeah.
Did you ever have the opportunity as a child to go into Chicago on the train?
All the time.
Trolleys, how about trolleys?
Well, that's what we had in Cedar Rapids. Yeah. And we could go from Kenwood Park clear out to Marion. And we did.
And all the way downtown, too.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
What did it cost you for a fare, trolley fare?
A nickel.
A nickel.
When you grew up, and went to Franklin, it was a dime.
When your dad, was he in a position, did he have an automobile? One of the first
Yes, he did. My mother forbade him to drive because he wrecked our old Ford came out. So he didn't drive it again.
Did you ever remember going out to the Seedling Mile on a Sunday or something?
Mm-hmm.
That stretch of pavement they put?
Was it Old 30, was it?
Old 30, Highway Old 30.
Yes.
Hunter Airport.
Yeah.
You remember Hunter Airport?
I was one of the first kids to take a flight up. I forget, I don't know, $1 or something. I had my first flight, first of many flights out there.
Did you know Dan?
I saw him all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We used to go out. There was a man out there who had a lion, and the lion would go up.
Was that Howard Hall by chance?
It wasn't
At
Howard
Bruce Moore?
Howard. I think it was someone who did. But one day I went out to see the lion, and I still have the scars because the lion was caged so that his paws could go through the bars instead of being screened. And I went out, and the lion roared at me and reached through and got me, with his arms around me. And when they tried to beat him off, he let go. And I still have the scars. I couldn't sit down for a long time.
Is this a true story?
I swear. Isn't it? But I'm not going to show you the scars.
Okay, we believe you. You said you took many airplane rides out there.
Yeah. They used to take us up for nothing or $1 or something like that. I was well prepared to go around like I did later.
You, in knowing you for the short time I you impressed me as the type of person that would have enjoyed being a pilot. Did you ever consider getting flying instructions?
Yeah, I did, but I didn't do it. Wish I had.
Because you didn't have enough money, or you just...
I don't know. I guess girls didn't fly in those days. I made up for it later.
How about any floods? Did you have any major floods when you were young that stuck out in your mind?
We lived near 16th Street and A Avenue up from Cole. And one year, and I don't remember the year, our basements flooded, and my brothers had a wonderful time. They got their canoes out, and they could go clear to Cole in a canoe.
Really?
Is that flood enough?
That's flood enough. As a child, Barb, did you get to go to Saturday matinees at the theater?
Of course. That was big stuff.
Was it?
A nickel down on the trolley, 10 cents is a movie, 5 cents for popcorn. Back home.
Did your mother take you, or did you go with your brothers and sisters, or?
I don't remember. I think I went with my older brother.
How about parks in Cedar Rapids? Did any of them stick out in your mind that you... Beaver Park?
The animals. Lots of animals.
Was that something that families did on a Sunday afternoon, was to have a picnic in the park? And
it was fun.
how about dances?
Cedar Park. Wonderful dance.
Cedar Park. Where was this park?
Cedar Park was out
On Ellis Boulevard?
out on First Avenue. There was a, what did they call where you rented horses and carriages?
A livery?
Livery
Livery.
stable out across from where the shopping center is now.
Westdale?
No.
Oh,
Linndale.
Linndale. Mm-hmm.
And you could rent horses and carriages there. And not that we ever did. But
Was that near Seymour?
Seymour Acres.
Seymour Acres.
When I was in high school, we danced at Seymour Acres. It's wonderful.
Carnival Week. Was there a week set aside in Cedar Rapids that they called Carnival Week? Or
Well, it was Circus Week, and the circus came to the west side. And if you could, you went out and watched the animals and the people out there. It was on a hill up by is it Roosevelt's High School on the west side, I think. And that was an exciting week.
with your dad working for the railroad, did he spend a lot of time away from home? So it was pretty much your mother and the four children?
Yeah.
So you never got to spend a lot of time, quality time with your dad then, probably, in that.
When I was with him, he spent a lot of time with me because he was a Bible student too and a history student. And that's what we talked about all the time.
Do you ever recall a week or some weeks set aside in the summertime? It was known as Chautauqua.
Oh, yeah. Yes. My folks always went to Chautauqua. It was lectures, and I don't know what all. I never went.
This was a intellectual type of seminar, maybe, that was held in the summertime.
Yeah, in a big tent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember where it was. Excuse me.
The community theater. Did you ever have any associations with the community theater?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've forgotten just what it was, but I did. I remember playing in Lady Aviator. I had to borrow a costume. I don't remember too much.
How about the little gallery? Do you recall a place?
Oh, yes. It was several places. The first place I remember going was in a house out on 3rd Avenue, an old house. I would say it must have been around 7th Street. And they had pictures in the gallery. They had a gallery. And then it moved up on 1st Avenue and that's where I had, one time I had lessons with Grant Wood there, but it was an old house. Then from 2nd Avenue in this big old brown house, it moved upstairs at about 4th Avenue and 3rd Street. Upstairs was a gallery there. And then it moved out on 1st Avenue in an old white house. And that's where Grant Wood taught a lot of lessons, and I went. And it was at 1st Avenue, right where that long white, not consistory, but the Sonic
Library
is now. It was at the end of that white. Then it made its last move.
Was it ever a gift shop or
Yeah, it was.
unusual, beautiful little gifts?
And pictures. Yes. I think that was downtown in a bank building on the first floor.
Who was this lady? Or was it a lady that ran it? And
Two ladies. I don't remember her name,
don't recall their name.
but she had beautiful things and pictures.
The Cedar Rapids Symphony, were you associated with when you were young, the Cedar Rapids Symphony?
As an
As a
attendant,
child, yeah.
As an attendant. I don't remember as a child the symphony.
The circuses, was that similar to the Carnival Week where the circuses would come to
They
town?
were on the west side.
Okay.
High
About-
up.
Green's Opera House. Do you have any memories of it?
I went in it 2 or 3 times as a child. A young woman, I should say. We weren't supposed to, but we did. And it was beautiful inside. There were balconies around it. And I felt so badly when they tore it down. I couldn't believe that they would do such an awful thing. It was beautiful.
Did you ever have the occasion to see any performances there?
Not that I remember. But I could draw those
You
balconies.
can still visualize it in
Oh,
your
it was
mind.
beautiful.
How about camp? Did your folks ever send you to camp in summertime?
Yes, I was a campfire girl. I went to camp every year, and it was out. Again, the Grant Wood Association. My friend, Mary, I don't remember. Her dad was a realtor, and they owned the old house that Grant Wood used to paint in out there. And that's where we had our campfire.
Would this have been the mansion in Stone
the
City?
mansion in Stone City.
Yeah. And your girlfriend would invite you out there?
No, we were all campfire girls.
Okay.
And she was the leader. And we would go out to her, to this gorgeous old big mansion, and be there a week at a time in the summer.
You told me about Grant Wood had some ice wagons out there
Yeah.
that people would camp in.
Yes. I wanted so badly to camp in one of those, but my folks wouldn't let me. But I saw them, and
Were you familiar with the Cherry Sisters, Barbara?
I heard of them, and I did see one of them one time, walking out First Avenue. She would walk out First Avenue, and I did see her one time.
Do you remember her name? Which one? Effie or
Effie.
Effie? Were they well-to-do because they were in show business, or?
She looked very poorly dressed. She was quite an oddity. People kind of put up with her.
Were they so bad that they were funny?
That's what I understand, that it was funny. They thought they were good, but they were pitiful. I never saw.
Grant Wood,
Yes, my hero.
your hero. Tell us about your hero, some of the experiences and the stories.
Well,
Would he have been younger than you were, or about?
no, he was older.
He was older than you were.
He was just the nicest man. I first knew him about when he lived behind the Turner mortuary up
In the loft or in the?
in this house, in this attic. But I took every opportunity to study with him, and there were often opportunities. It was a different era.
Did he give art lessons out in Stone City at the mansion?
Yes, I went out there too.
Marvin Cohn.
Wonderful. I studied with him at college. And where else? Someplace else. Wonderful man.
Was Marvin Cohen the one that wore bib overalls?
No, that was Grant.
That was Grant Wood. Were Marvin and Grant Wood, were they good friends with each other?
I believe so.
They would have been similar or older than you were, or?
Oh, yes. I studied with Professor Cohen at Cole and took art classes there. And any place else he was giving. Wonderful man. So kind.
You were very into art, weren't you, as a young girl?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't know what you were going to become of it or what was going to become of it, but you were at the time you were very interested. Barb, when you were a young girl, there wasn't such a thing as air conditioning. Did you ever think this was an inconvenience in trying to sleep in the summertime in Iowa when it?
We always had a sleeping porch, and we didn't know any differently. You slept on a sleeping porch, and sometimes it was cool in the morning.
Nice breeze blowing through. Winter activities. What did you do as a young person?
Ice skate.
Ice skate.
I loved to ice skate and turn circles, and thought I was pretty good.
Was there any particular rinks that you would like to go to?
Rinks? There were
Ice
ponds.
Ponds.
There was Turtle Pond out across from where a shopping center is.
Lindale?
Lindale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was Turtle Pond there. And then we went out in the country. I can't tell you exactly where it was. I think now there's a fountain in that. It's out on Cottage Grove. There's a fountain in that pond, but it used to be where we skated. There weren't skating rinks then, there were ponds.
Ponds. So you probably didn't have electric lights at night either, did you?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Did boys and girls skate together? Did you?
Sure. Sure.
Did you go sledding
Sure.
as a girl?
Yes.
Any favorite sledding hills that you had?
Oh, my brothers had these long
Skis?
Oh, yeah, they had skis, but they also had these
Toboggan?
toboggans. Yeah. My brothers were very athletic.
And outdoor.
Yeah.
How about holidays, Barb? Does any holiday stick out in your mind? Was Christmas a very special holiday
Yes.
in your family?
Yes, indeed. Santa Claus came, and we heard him. We heard him going over the 30th Avenue Bridge on First Avenue. And from then on, I knew there was Santa Claus.
Did
You
you?
hear his sleigh bells, you know.
Was your folks afford? Were they able to give you any gifts when you were young?
Yes. Nothing elaborate, but nice things.
Back then, children didn't expect too much.
No,
Yeah.
if you got a pair of skates or a sled, or that was great. And the stocking full of candy. Oh, the kids now, they would throw you out.
Was your parents church-going people? Did they go to church at Christmas time?
Yes, my folks did. Not my father as much as my mother.
Mm-hmm. And she took the two boys and the two girls with her. How about the 4th of July? Was that a fun time event?
Of course. We would throw these little firecrackers at each other.
Lady fingers.
Lady fingers.
Where did people buy these firecrackers? Did they have to go out of the state, or could they buy them here in Cedar Rapids?
I don't know how brothers got them. I know you weren't supposed to have them. That I remember.
They were illegal then.
Yep.
Mhm.
And dangerous.
Did they have parades? 4th of July parades?
Yes. Yes.
Where would these be? Downtown or in a park or?
Yeah. And the veterans would always march. The veterans from the different wars.
Very patriotic parade.
Very patriotic.
Yeah.
And bands.
As a young girl, did you have a doll collection?
Yes. And I made clothes for it. From the time I was 5 years old, I was sewing. And I made clothes. Beautiful clothes for my dolls. I designed them.
Really?
Yes.
At 5 years old? Did you have any favorite dolls that you kept all throughout your lifetime?
I don't think so. If I did, they got lost in the movie.
Mm-hmm. In the 20s, the Prohibition period, do you have any memories of it?
We had a neighbor who evidently was in that business, and it was illegal.
Bootlegging, perhaps?
And evidently he was well known because he stayed in the attic of our neighbor's house. We kids knew he was up there. But he was either in the bank business or the liquor business. And he would hide for weeks at a time in their home. Shame.
Did your dad drink?
No, never.
Never drank.
We never had liquor in our...
Your mother, did she ever work? Was strictly a housewife or a mom and housewife?
Later on, when she was well along in years, she helped us in our decorating business. But that's the first time in her life she ever worked.
Really? You were in a pre-interview, you were telling me the story that she come from a family that wasn't accustomed to doing their own housework.
Indeed not. They had blacks that lived with them. And when I was a little girl, the family still lived with them. Lived up above their carriage house. A black family. No.
Your mother was from England, wasn't she?
Way back.
Okay, she didn't come from England.
No.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
she was...
Was her family wealthy? Was that how they could afford to have servants, or was that the custom then?
No, it wasn't the custom. We, in my own family, always had a hired girl besides someone who helped with the housework. But they called them hired girls, and usually they lived with you. And that's what people did.
I know you lived, you used to go back to Kansas, and you'd born and raised across from an Indian reservation. Did you ever have any Indian friends?
Yes. It wasn't the thing to do back then, but I'd had a couple of them. Especially one boy who was just a friend. It just wasn't the thing to have an Indian boyfriend. Didn't do that.
You just didn't do that at home. That was a no-no.
Yeah.
When you were young, were there jobs for young girls? Like for boys, they could have a paper route, or they could shovel snow. Babysitting.
Big business for her. Not big business. 10 cents an hour. You could get rich.
Did you ever babysit?
Yes.
Did you? Did you save your money or blow it?
You know, I don't remember.
Barb, we're going to switch over. Tell us about Washington High School, about the incident with the ceiling.
Washington High School was directly on the tracks downtown. I mean to say, 12 feet from your window, the trains went by, and the building just shook. And it was old then. And one morning, I came to school, and on my desk, the ceilings of Washington High School were like 12 feet high, and on my desk was about a 2x4 thick plaster thing that fell in the night. If I'd have been at school when that train went by.
Did the students get used to that noise? Wasn't that a terrible interruption?
Oh yes.
The train going by, in the soot, in the
Yeah.
coal fumes.
Yeah. It was just there. What do you do?
It's one of the things you had to put up with.
We didn't have cafeterias then. You know, you took your lunch.
Mm-hmm. Barb, tell us about your college. I know you went to the University of Iowa in Cobos. Where did you go first? Co?
Yes, I went to several classes there. I went to all of Professor Cole's classes and several others. And I had the equivalent of a master's in art if I could have paid for it. But what do they call it when you...
Audit
Audit.
courses.
It didn't cost any. And you did not get credit. It never showed on Cole or the university that I had credit for those classes. But I got the good out of it, and that's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a degree,
Yeah.
but I had the time put in that I could have had it if I could have paid for it. But you audited it. I can't say the word. Audited it.
Audited.
It.
How long was that in practice?
I don't remember. A lot of people
When they
did
discontinued it.
I have no idea.
I had never heard of...
Auditing?
No, I've never heard of that. Of course, that don't mean much.
I was going to say, you haven't been poor.
No, I was born and raised on a farm, never had the occasion to have to worry about it, I guess.
Well, I was not the only one auditing these courses. Lots of my friends did too. Because we sincerely wanted the education and appreciated it.
So how many years did you go to Cole?
Oh, several years. I went several years to the university. I used to go down on the, there was a trolley that went down.
Crandick, Prospect?
Crandick Road. And I would take the bus with my big package of not frames, but for my canvases, big canvases, carry those on the trolley, and on the streetcar here and the trolley to Iowa City. And they let us out at Iowa City right by the art building, but you were up high on the Crandick, and you had to carry all your canvases down the steps about 20 feet. Then you got to the art building. It was wonderful.
Were your courses similar there? They were audited courses
Oh,
at
yes.
University
Oh,
of
yes.
Iowa?
You could audit any course at the university or at Cole.
Did you have in your mind, did you have any idea in mind at this time in your life of what you would probably want to do with your life later on?
I wanted
or
to be a painter.
You wanted to be a painter.
Yeah.
And what you were studying could also have been design or painting, the basics.
Yeah.
The basics.
But I wanted to paint and design clothes.
You had mentioned to me that you were a member of the DAR.
And DAC. That's the Daughters
Of the American Revolution
and the American Colonies,
and the American Colonies.
which is older.
Yes. What is the American Colonies? What was that organization?
DAC.
DAC?
Yeah.
And these,
Daughters of the American Colonists.
did you have to be eligible because of your relatives or relations or
To
something?
be in that? Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. You had to prove that your bloodline went back to or before the Revolution.
Really?
Yeah.
And you
Mine did.
you researched it, and how far back can you trace it?
Oh, back to England. I think my papers start about 1500 for the Daughter American Revolution.
And you were telling me that your grandmother was a Houston, of the Sam Houston.
Texas branch.
Very interesting. So when you got out of college, Barb, now what? What did you decide to do, or
Open a decorating shop.
open a decorating shop?
Design shop.
But that was not possible, so you settled with what right off? Did you?
Working for someone else.
And who did you go to work for?
Newman's.
Newman's department store.
I worked in the ready-to-wear, and I drew all the pictures of their dresses or dishes or whatever they wanted in the Gazette. In those days, they didn't have pre-made-up ads. If you had certain dress lines, you had to draw them. I have hundreds of pictures of coats and dresses and shoes that I drew to go in the Gazette.
Could we stop at this time and show a couple of those pictures? Is this one of the earlier ones, or after
Yes.
you'd been doing it?
Yes.
Can you explain this to us, Barb?
Well, it obviously was a suit, and probably one the Newmans had there, and they wanted a picture of it in the Gazette. So I would go down there, and they would put it on a figure for me, and I would draw it in ink, which is hard to do, but it had to be in ink. It couldn't be pencil.
It had to be dark enough to reproduce.
Exactly.
They didn't use photography then?
Yes, sometimes. Sometimes a picture ready to print, I forget what they called that, there's a name for it, would come with a line of dresses, and they would use that.
Mm-hmm.
But usually they had, if they wanted a certain thing in the paper, they had to have someone draw it in ink, in black and white.
Hand me that one. This is another one.
Yes. This is a special one. She has a hat of violets Can you see the violets?
Now, were you the only artist in the ad department, or were there numerous? You were the only one?
Yeah.
How did you, as a young girl right out of college,
I didn't go to college.
no, I mean
didn't
take
get-
courses, to
yeah.
take courses, was you fortunate enough to end up with this job? Did they advertise for it in the paper, or,
They just knew me. Someone knew me.
and they knew of the work that
Yeah.
you were capable of doing?
You had to do it in black and white.
And how long were you the artist?
Several years there. 4, maybe 3.
Did you know Mr. Killian himself?
It wasn't Killian. Mr. Newman.
I'm sorry, Newman, yeah.
Newberger was his name.
Newberger.
I knew him.
Did he ever give you praise for the job you were doing?
He didn't. You were just lucky to get you. You know what I mean?
Did every major clothing store downtown, did they have their own ad artists?
No. The ads came with the clothes almost every time.
Did any of the other stores ever approach you to want to hire you away from Newman's?
No. In those days, we were so lucky to have a job. I got $10 a week for selling ready-to-wear and doing all their advertising.
$10 a week.
Yeah.
Were you able to save any of that, put it away?
No.
Were you living at home at the time? Or?
Yes.
So you could probably wouldn't have been able to afford to rent an apartment
Oh,
on
heavens,
that
no.
wage.
No. But I was just lucky, felt fortunate to be doing something I could do, artistic.
Do you recall maybe about the year you started working for them?
I would have been around 20 years. What would that be?
34?
34.
Around then, you think?
And getting any kind of work was so difficult, let alone something that you enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
Would this have been during the Depression?
Yes.
So any job at all,
Any,
people were thankful to him. But you were fortunate enough that you ended up doing something that you truly enjoyed
Yeah.
doing.
I did.
When you were doing this, was the painting still in the back of your mind that someday you would like to be a...
I was painting all the time. I was either going to school someplace that I could audit, or
Did you ever have the opportunity to sell it in your paintings?
yes. I didn't get any big money for them.
Yeah.
In fact, I have a number of them floating around out there that never got paid for, but
Yeah.
somebody has them on their wall.
Did
I wish I had them back.
Did Grant Wood ever tell you that you were pretty good?
Nope.
Never did. How
I
about
wish
Marvin
he
Cohen?
had. Marvin was wonderful, and Marvin encouraged me all the time.
So, what year did you get married, Barbara?
1937.
1937. And you married who?
Maury Nassif.
Maury Nassif. You were English, Scotch-Irish, and you married into a different culture. Did you find that is quite an adjustment for you?
Tremendous.
Can you tell us any of the particular things that you found?
Number one, I learned to speak Arabic. Because in those days, you went to live with your husband's family. And of course, they all spoke Lebanese. And if I wanted to understand what was being said, I learned, and I learned fast, and I still speak it. They laugh when they hear it. But people, I went over to the old countries, Egypt and all, and they understood me, but they laughed too now and then.
Were you self-taught, or your
Yes,
husband
I
teaching?
picked it up. I got a book that didn't help me at all, and I just learned it, period. Very difficult. They have about 7 different verbs for I saw a man standing. 7 different ways to say a very simple thing. It was a great experience.
Did your mother or your father ever question your
Yes,
reason for wanting to marry outside of the?
yes. But my parents were well educated and broad, and they understood me.
After you got married, did you continue to celebrate Christmas as you and your husband like you remembered them in the past, or was it a different custom?
Different. They just don't do it. They make very little of it, other than a church service.
Did that bother you?
Well, it's hard to get used to another way of living, entirely different. And still, they worship the same God.
Mm-hmm.
And I was such an avid Bible student that I knew I could learn from them. Because look, they go back to the Bible time. I couldn't.
What was your husband's occupation when you married him? Did he have a job?
Yes, he was a traveling salesman for a rug company, carpet company, I should say.
Would he be any relation to the people that has the rug company on Mount Vernon Road and 19th Street now?
Several generations removed, but yes. I think those I think the boys that had that shop would have been second cousins. The Nassifs in the Middle West are all related. They came here about 1870, settled in North Dakota and Iowa, Minnesota. And you'll see that name, or a similar one, all over the Midwest.
What year did your husband pass away in?
Isn't this awful? I think it was 71.
71?
Isn't that awful?
No, it isn't. It happens to all of us have a memory lapse every now and then. And how many children did you and Maury have? 2 children?
Wait a minute. Robert and Patricia.
Robert and Patricia?
Yeah. I know that.
And what is Patricia, your daughter, what is she doing today?
Well,
Is she married?
she's Lady Nassif. Lady Acton. ACTO. Lady Patricia Acton. Her husband is in the Parliament in England. She spends half a year there and half a year teaching at the University of Iowa.
Does she have a law degree?
Yeah,
Does she
and she teaches law.
She teaches law at the University of Iowa, and then in England, what does she teach over there, or is she a barrister? Or
Yeah, she's a barrister over there, but she has classes that she takes over that study law over there. She takes them to England. They have a home there too.
What's her husband's name?
Richard Lordak.
And he is a lawyer
Yes.
in the United States, plus a barrister in Parliament over in England. You must be very proud of your daughter.
I am.
And your son,
Robert. He's a composer.
is he? I think from going to the symphony and hearing his name mentioned, he's a composer in residence, they call it, for the Cedar Rapids Symphony.
Mm-hmm.
Evidently, he had the same love for music as you did for art.
Yes. He's an artist too. He's a very good painter.
Was you a what do I want to say, a full-time mom in raising the kids, or did you?
Oh, I worked.
You worked.
I worked in our business.
Was you able to spend a lot of time with Robert and Patricia in their growing up years?
Yes. I took them to school and picked them up from school. When they weren't in school, I was with them always. And I took them not around the world, but almost around the world. I took them to Egypt and different Oriental countries many times.
You give them as much education abroad as they got in the school, probably.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think this is probably the main reason they both turned out to be such outstanding citizens?
You're speaking to their mother. What can I
Naturally.
say? I just knew if I ever had children, I was going to take them to see what was there.
Okay, so the last that we talked about you working was a artist at Newman's. From there, when was your next career or gainful employment?
I think when I opened the decorating shop at 15th Street and First Avenue, we eventually called it Nassif's Interiors, and we had an 8-room house completely decorated with beautiful furniture, wall coverings and accessories, and we had a lovely business there for years.
Did you explain what your business consisted of? What did you actually do for a customer?
Their whole house, and we did it all over Iowa.
They would contract you to come in and to redesign.
Tell them what they needed.
Tell them what they needed.
Yeah. And as I recall, WMT did a number of programs about our business and about what I did, and showed some of the work.
Did you ever do any business places?
Yes.
Any that stand out in your mind any, right now? That I don't want you to name any
I don't.
residences.
No. Mostly residences. We did houses as far away as beyond Des Moines and over into Illinois, down into Missouri.
What did Maury do in this operation? Was he?
Well,
Were you partners?
I guess you'd call it that. Yes,
You would do.
but I continued after he was gone.
You would actually do the designing of it. Yeah. How many up till what year did you quit doing that?
I think about 20 years ago. That's funny, I can't tell you.
Did-
I walk in your house and I redo it.
Did you find yourself walking in other people's houses and saying, "Oh my Lord"?
I never said it.
You never said it.
I couldn't tell you what I thought. Oh, dear God. I remember there was a favorite teacher of one of my children, and he wanted me to see his place. And he had a purple velvet couch, and I nearly dropped over. I couldn't tell him how horrid it was. But he was so proud of it.
Did you find a lot of your friends imposing on you?
Yeah, that's all right.
Wanted to do it for...
Sometimes it wasn't the imposition. It, well, of course, if they liked my taste, now a lot of people wouldn't want it.
Mm-hmm. Did you find yourself doing it for people that you really liked? You would just give them helpful hints and tell them what they could do and didn't charge them anything?
Yeah.
And they accepted your advice? And
Yeah.
when you...
I would never tell you I didn't like something. I might ask you, what on earth possessed you to get that?
When you finished your career in interior decorating, did you travel?
Yes.
Of course, you did a lot of traveling all your life, didn't you? And your business probably took you...
Well, to New York and back and to, business partner.
Did you have to attend a lot of conventions, or not conventions, but seminars to stay on the top of the latest? And
Not really.
not unless you wanted to.
I read everything, every magazine. It's not hard to stay up with it when you like it.
Mm-hmm.
You just do it.
Yeah. Where did you find yourself traveling to? Did you go travel to a lot of foreign countries?
Mm-hmm. All over Europe, through the Mideast. As far as Pakistan, which I see blowing up every day, down into the Holy Land, on down into Eastern Africa. Took my kids too to a lot of places.
Did you find any particular country that you felt comfortable in, or you really liked?
I loved the designs in the northern Europe countries, Sweden and what's the other country?
Austria?
Yeah, but
Norway, Denmark.
yeah, I love. They're very artistic. Oh, I studied rosemary. Have you heard that word?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's Norwegian. Beautiful. Oh, I have a lot of them on my wall someplace. Love that country.
Would you be afraid to travel to the Middle East today?
Not as long as I can speak. A little.
I can see, yes, that would be a... Let me ask you, on September 11th, 2001, what's your feelings?
Horrified. Horrified.
Did you ever in your wildest dreams think that anything like that could happen in the United States of America?
No, I never did. But you have to remember the religious fervor governing those people. The guys that took the big United or airline and drove it into that
Skyscraper.
Weren't worried about death at all. They felt they weren't the least bit afraid of that death. They felt that religion, Muslim, is different over there than maybe the Muslims here.
I guess that's why it's so hard for American people or other people to understand.
If they believed it was a righteous effort, they believed they were absolved and went right ahead with it.
You had told us earlier, along with your designing, that you had always been very interested in painting. And did you pursue or dabble in painting throughout your lifetime along with interior decorating? And you have a photo here. I can hold it up, or if you can hold it up. This is what, Barbara? Can you see that, Ellen?
Yep, I got it. It's fine.
That's a building that was out at the airport before they built the new airport.
This was not the terminal, the old terminal. This was across the road from the... Mm-hmm. Why did you paint that?
I just loved it.
You thought it was a pretty little house.
I was at the airport often, and I wanted to paint it.
Very good. Barbara, let's talk about some of the special people. I know you had many, many friends throughout your lifetime, being in business, in traveling in so many different places. But I know there's some special ones that stand out. A Conger Metcalf. Who was Conger?
He was my good friend, and I learned a lot from him. We were in class together. He was 1 year ahead of me at Washington, but we were in school together at Washington, and the teacher let Conger and I sit in the back of the room and do our thing, and taught the rest of the class. And I just learned so much from Conger. He was so kind, and we had a good time together. I have his pictures that I cherish.
Is he still living?
No.
Here's a couple of his favorite pictures, if you would like to hold them up. Did he give these to you?
Yeah.
Or
no,
did
no, I bought them
you bought
from
them?
the art center.
Okay.
You done?
Did he reside in Cedar Rapids, or did he move away?
When I knew him, he lived with his parents on First Avenue at the top of the hill, at about 7th Street. His father, I can't remember, he had rather ordinary business, I think. I don't remember, but it wasn't anything like exotic like he became.
Mm-hmm. Was he a professional artist, or did he go on to become a professional
Conger?
artist? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
Art Collins, do you have any recollections of Art Collins? How about a Bill Whipple?
Oh, yes. His sister, Dorothy, was a good friend of mine. And Bill Whipple, I consider one of the nicest people in Cedar Rapids. Brilliant.
Did you ever have the occasion to meet Howard in Margaret Hall?
I met Margaret Hall. I can't remember why, but I was in her home when it was in a smaller house, not the big one.
What sort of a person was Margaret? Was she
She was not an artist. She was a very down-to-earth person.
Did she have her home elegantly decorated?
Not as I recall.
The Perrins, did you ever, that was Howard and Margaret's daughter?
I knew them, but just not socially.
Mm-hmm. Was there any other people that stuck out in your life that had made an impression on your life, or were longtime friends or very close friends?
Oh, I just don't recall anyone right now. I liked everybody in Cedar Rapids. I was not a social butterfly. I was not wealthy, but I did have good friends.
You weren't a socialite, in other words.
I don't think they'd remember me.
Barbara, you had, before this interview, you was telling us about your Bible collection. Was this a hobby that you had for
Yes,
quite a few years?
yes.
Why did you start collecting Bibles?
Oh, I love the Bible. I just always studied it. My dad was a Bible student, and that's why I traveled. I went to the Bible countries.
Really?
I made it a lot. I have a large collection of Bibles, which I went around the state, actually in the middle with it, and spoke on the Bibles, the history, the making of Bibles. Is fascinating.
The different religions?
No, Christian.
Christian?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have did you collect
Yes.
Korans?
No, I collected just Bibles.
Just Christian Bibles?
Yes. Uh-huh. I have a collection going, and the sheets that it was early printed on were not. They were leather. I have them going back to 1,200 sheets of old Bibles. They were large because they had one Bible in each cathedral, and they would hold that Bible up and people chanted from it. And I have many pages from those large old Bibles. If you open those drawers over there, you'll see them. Beautiful old English printing.
Did you ever find yourself wanting to go to Egypt when they discovered the Lost Sea Scrolls?
Oh, yes. I did go. Yes,
For that particular reason?
sure. That was fascinating.
How many Bibles do you suppose you have?
50, I mean valuable.
Yeah.
Those drawers are full of old Bibles over there. If you want to take a picture of, you can open the drawers and look.
What are these, Barb? Are these pages out of a particular Bible?
Yes, they're leather and they're hand done. And these are the notes, the little square things are the notes. And you see that. They don't have the clefs or anything on them.
And these would have been
Chants.
in Latin,
In Latin, and the monks would chant them.
similar to the Gregorian chants.
Yes, that's what it
Where did you obtain these?
was. All
Do you
over
recall?
the world.
No, but these particular copies, do you remember where?
No, I don't.
Monastery or?
No, I bought them. usually from
Private parties.
party dealers in New York or London or wherever. This is I love these.
Lifelong hobby.
Yeah.
Very nice. Barb, in all of the years you've spent collecting these Bibles, did you ever have occasion to actually sit down and take the time to read them? Or
Well, I couldn't read them. I wouldn't know the Latin, but I know each Bible and I know its history, and I love it. Love it. And I'm fascinated with old Bibles.
do you know of anybody else that has that similar hobby?
Oh, yeah, I think there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've bought some of my things from other students. I think most book lovers, really, are interested in old Bibles.
Did your folks have a family Bible?
Oh yes, we had a family Bible, but we had nothing like I had. My mother had a couple of very old ones, but most people don't know what those leather leaves are, you know.
Yes. Very, very rare. When your mother's Bible was, did she record the dates of the children and the birthdays?
Yes,
And
that sort of thing. But these, the ones I have, would not have had that personal stuff in them.
Barb, if you had your life to live over again, would you have done anything different, or was there anything you wished you could have accomplished but ran out of time?
How about you? Do you wish you'd done anything differently?
No, I guess
Don't
not.
you know? Oh well, you're a fortunate man. No, I can't think of what I've changed, what I would change, because it's been so very interesting, and I'm interested in everything. And there's my cat. That's my interest now. That's my pearl.
Can you? Will she come to you if you call her?
Not when there's a stranger.
Very independent. Barb, unless you have anything else you would like to add to this interview, the Cedar Rapids History Center and the Linn County Historical Society would like to thank you very much for sharing your memories with us.
Well, thank you for being interested.
Thank you.
Pearl?